Welcome to the Kakle. On today's episode, we'll be discussing issues of our lives, our values, diversity, plus chemistry. We've all got things to tackle.
Stop playing around.
Thank goodness for the Kakle.
But what's the psychology behind it?
We're all the ladies here.
And she's in the wrong.
For you. Welcome to the Kakle. This is a good one. This was like a girls hanging out, having a conversation. We were talking about our dreams from our youth to where we are now. And are there go-getters around us? Do you feel you have go-getters that are surrounded in your environment, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, friends? And we're just wondering, are there go-getters right here in the city, this wonderful, cold city of Montreal? And everyone operates differently, don't we? We all have our own path and our own way when it comes to productivity. So we talk about all of that. So make sure that you sit down, relax, make sure you got your glass of wine, and welcome to the conversation.
Oh my God, we are knocking on the door. But I find when we get 40s and 50s, we tend to reflect back to the time where we had all those dreams, that push, that drive, and then we start questioning ourselves and saying, what happened? You know, and I noticed that in myself. I traveled more. I was more explorative, observative. Like I just got up and did things to learn, you know, and then family came in the picture.
So what makes you stop? I mean,
well, obviously you have priorities.
You may
can't
not
do it as much.
In the same, I should clarify. You may not do it in the same way, right? But there are still many ways that are within a realistic and feasible.
Yeah, I call it girl weekends now.
A little wild. You know, you can tap into the real you, into trying new things, into learning new things. Because, I mean, the things that you said you enjoyed, you said you want to explore, you want to learn things, you can do that.
I can't. No, I'm still learning. We all learn as we're getting older. You know that's a fact. But I'm a traveler. I can't just up and leave my child behind. Okay, bye, honey. Bye, hun. Bye. I love you both. Bye. See you in a month. Yeah, I can't.
You can't do the same things, but you can use those same drives and sentiments to do something else.
You know what? I do it in a different way. The way I do apply some of it, because there's still some stuff I look back and I say, you know, I wish I could have had more time to do it or explore it. But when it comes to the traveling aspect, I kind of wrap that around my girl time. So when we travel, you wonder why I'm so hyper?
You gotta get out of jail card.
Man, running free. And I look forward to it, you know, so it allows me to have my time with my family, but allows me to still have that part of me that I had before the family to get out there and still live a bit. You know, people need to learn how to live.
Yeah.
We forgot. We get in the daily struggle. We're great at work. We're great in the family. But then you still have that seed in the back of your head saying, you know, what about this dream? You forgot about me. And it always pops up every once in a while. And I think people have to learn to reincorporate that into their lives.
What is your dream?
Oh, you threw me a hard one there. Okay. So, to be very honest, I just love to travel and explore culture, societies as they are. One of my most memorable trips was taking the Amtrak train down south, and it was passing through Jacksonville, heading, you know, going more down south. And I remember it was about 5 a.m, and I was watching some, you know, people tend to their land. They were doing some, you know, farming and gardening, and it was so early in the morning, but it was so refreshing to see. Like, I mean, literally, imagine being on the train sitting there. You open your eyes, light frost on the window, sun is barely up, and you're passing so close to these properties where you see everyone tending to their land, and you just sit back and breathe. You kind of just take it all in. To me, I love stuff like that. I want to see people doing their thing in the middle of their moment. Who are they? We are all people. We are all, You know, we all have this side to us. And I like to see people when they let down their guard, when they take off that mask, the makeup, the weave, whatever you got on, the eyelashes. Who are you? Mm-hmm. I think we would get along better on the planet if we knew who we were. So for me, my love is to see people in their own comfort zone, in their own environment.
In their element.
In their element. And appreciating what it is. Okay, am I ever going to be a farmer? I'm not good at farming because I could tell you one problem I have. I don't get up 4 a.m.
And you're allergic to everything that comes out of the earth.
Well, I just use that excuse.
Grass, trees,
everything. When you don't want to work, you find an excuse. So if anybody says, listen, we got to tend to some horses. Hey, buddy, I'm allergic to hay. Sorry. You know, this is not going to work. So I'm going to go sit back in the house and make that coffee for you. Yeah. But for me, it's, I'm a traveler at heart.
Yeah.
I like to travel and learn cultures and societies. I don't like to bring any biases. I like to learn their culture as how they see it through their eyes.
Would that be a dream that you did something where you got paid to travel or report hey, this country's pretty cool, or that kind of thing?
I would like an Anthony Bourdain show, like the cooking.
Yeah.
I would so do it. But given light of the world of where we're in, a lot of places will be cut off the map. I don't have that courage or kahunas.
We're not going to do that region right now.
Yeah, we're not. There's a whole lot.
Good time right now. Yeah.
But I definitely would do it in travel, because when I do travel, I never follow the tourist guide. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I don't put myself in harm's way. I use common sense judgment, but I love to see the people as they are. Like, if I'm going to learn Mexican food, I don't want it in your restaurant, your commercial restaurant. I want a Mexican family that would welcome me, and I could sit down and learn from the mom, the grandma, the kids cooking, and really learn what is the real cuisine, what is the real culture. Take me, show me, what have I missed? That I didn't really understand of the culture that really defines and sets a culture apart from other cultures and why they're different in their existence. So for me, that's what it is. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe I'm just deep. Well, until we just get to food, because food is food. I'm just greedy. So for you, Sanka, I'm going to throw it at you, my dear. What's your dream? What would you want to do? I know you got a bucket list. Don't lie. Everybody has a bucket list. I'm doing it. It's true. You know what? I was so proud. I'm sorry. I realized I shouldn't even ask you that question.
The only leftover from the only part. Okay, so I have thus far in my life, I have an incapacity to. I'm incapable of settling. I'm not able. I just can't do it. I can't do it. Oftentimes I wish I could, because it would be easier. It would be easier in one sense, but there's a horror and a nightmare in that reality as well, right?
Right.
But at least I could swallow it for longer than I can now. But anything I'm capable of doing, and if an opportunity presents itself, I'm through that window like a bat out of hell. I don't even business. And people have told me I can't do things and I need to know my place and things like that.
I hate that.
I've always had this attitude that if I fail, at least I'm going to fail trying. If I don't do anything, nothing will happen. And then I'm going to cry. So it's like I have this belief that if you do nothing, you're forfeiting. It's like you get on The Price is Right, and you finally get your number called to run down to play the game, and you're like, no, it's okay. I traveled miles, rented a hotel, had the kids babysat, all these kinds of things, and I'm like, no, it's okay. I'm like, I never understood that. So no, anything I can, but there's things I would want to do that are still there, that I have every intention of doing. It's just that right now, the stars haven't aligned. Right?
No, I
it's still there.
Hear that.
I'm still working it. And as soon as I see an opening, I'm on it.
You know what I'm proud of her? That she did, that was on her bucket list, and I must say, proud of you. Scuba diving. You can never get my butt underwater holding my breath for not even more than 5 seconds. But when she did scuba diving, when Sanka did scuba diving and she took the picture, I was so proud because I knew it was something she wanted to do. And I was so proud of you because you know why? I definitely don't have the courage to do it. Because to me, underwater, sharks. That's where I'm at, okay? I'm back in the 80s with the Jaws movie. So for me, put me underwater, all I see is blue. Jaws is coming from somewhere. You know, like, get me out the water.
No, I really think that we have one life. And even if we have other lives, I want to do other things in those ones. So if I can do what I want, I will do what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And if I can't do it today, I will never give up. I will just wait. Because at some point, I'm going to find an opening. The things that I dream of that I don't have is because it's not totally in my control.
Okay.
Like I always wanted
and
a
that's
family.
fair.
I always wanted to settle down
but that's
and
fair.
these kinds of things. Mm-hmm. It's still on the list. I'm still trying to do what I can to make it happen. But at the same time, I also know that I'm only part of the equation, right? Mm-hmm. There's other parties and there's other pieces of the formula that have to come into place that I can't control. And that was the biggest challenge. Mm-hmm. Was being able to accept that there's some things I can't control because I'm a highly results oriented, and once it's in my head, attache ta tuque or get out the way.
Yeah, full steam ahead.
Because I'm not waiting for anybody. I'm not going to ask anybody. I'm not going to hang out like Miss 50 Shades of Grey trying to convince you when I can just get off my own assets and get it done. Huh? Sometimes that works for me. Sometimes it doesn't. And I'm aware of that, but it's who I am, right? So you see the opportunity, you see a solution, you go for it. That's not always good because apparently there's a journey in between the beginning and the end that I totally miss out on because I'm still looking at the goal, right?
Yeah, but at the same time too.
So true.
Yeah. No, you know what? I think that's just human nature in itself, and today's world, in a sense, we're so busy trying to achieve that goal. We don't focus on the whole process. You know, but the good thing about it is that we go after our goals. There was a time when you look in history, people had dreams, but they didn't go after it because they're either told, no, you can't do this. It's ladies don't do that, or men don't do that, or it's taboo. So now we're in a generation where it's like, no, what's stopping you besides yourself?
I disagree.
Go ahead. State your debate.
I will tell you why.
Break it down.
Because we learned from the trailblazers from before, and they had intense and serious mountains to climb over, right? I think people are even more afraid.
Because there's just so much, it's easier.
I think people are more afraid than in the past, where people were just like, it was life and death. It's either I'm going to roll over and die, or I'm going to try to get out or get through or get to where you want to go.
No, that is right.
Like war and depression.
Yeah, and they still
people's way of their dream or.
And they still manage to do it. There's millions and millions of stories of people, or even people, the first generations that came here and so forth. Even if you look through the Quebecois histories, and there's a long history of people who redefine and reformulate the way they want their lives to be. And I find partially because it's more accessible, right? Partially because I think, and I could be wrong because I'm not a psychologist, but I think some people haven't suffered enough to know that what we have is a luxury.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're comfortable, right? Even if you're a little uncomfortable, you can live with it. It's like a sore paw, right? You're like, I don't really want to be there, but maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll lose 50 pounds tomorrow or something like that.
That's what I say. But when tomorrow, yes.
But when you're living and you're like, oh my gosh, like for instance, my dad, he wasn't even 12. Right? And they gave him a little paper with a name on it and said, you take this 8-year-old and this 5-year-old and you go. Wow. Because the war is coming and they will kill you. Okay. What do? You go. It doesn't even matter if you're afraid. It doesn't matter if you're a child and you know nothing about life. You just get your little suitcase and you go about your business. Yeah. Because it was oblivion or death.
Right.
So you're like, I'm going to go for the unknown because I'm already guaranteed death if I stay. Right. So I'm going to go out blazing. But now we're like, okay, so I'll stay in my position another couple of years.
I find there's a lot of go-getters. Like, I'm actually amazed.
Oh, no.
I mean, the creativity, I think is like solely, like really, really slowing down slowly. But when you look at the sense of the go-getters, there's still a lot out there. I find we don't shine enough light on them to really see them. And there's some areas that, I mean, it's undeveloped, right? We don't even know how many people are there. And I think that's one thing with Montreal. We have so much untouched talent here that no one's looking here. You would assume automatically Toronto or Vancouver, but you may want to look over at Montreal.
I'm a true Montrealer. I start with Montreal first.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So that's why I say that there is a lot compared to before, like in the past generations where people were limited because of the point of view of the way of life.
But they were breaking limits.
Yeah, they were breaking limits. There were some that were really defiant. And look at the stuff that was said about them, which I should say stopped other people in their tracks from attempting to achieve their dream or wanting to take that path. Whereas now people say, I don't care what people think. I want to do this. If you don't like it, you don't like it, but I'm still going to try and go for it. Now, when it comes to creativity, that's where I have the issue. I find that we're kind of taking steps backward. We're repeating what was already done. It's been done. We had it. What makes me scared is a younger generation losing that focus of being creative and wanting to take that first step and go out there to their dreams. That's the thing. They'll make that step, but it's using stuff that has already been done. It's not stepping out and saying, well, you know what? I want to do something new that has never been seen before. I haven't been shocked yet.
Well, it's because it's hard because we have so much more access, right? So you might have such a brilliant idea, and then before you can get it patented, it's already coming out on the shopping channel.
True. That's a conversation with my son, right? He wants to do like a YouTube thing, right? And I asked him these questions, like, he tells me what he's into, and he's like, I want to do it just like this show or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, what can you do to be different? And for him, it's really like, and he's young, like he's a teenager. He's like, well, I don't know. It's like, it's really, you have to think outside the box. You can't do exactly what that person is doing. You have to, what can you do that's different? What's that thing that's going to make people be like, I want to watch you because you're doing something else that's different.
It's like your brand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm doing that even with the girls when they're like, I want to do something on YouTube, and it's like, okay, what can we do? Like they're like seven super girls. I think there's one thing that they're into where it's these 7 girls, and then on the same channel they do different videos. Like it could be just silly things, And I'm like, okay, well, what can we do that's a little bit different,
Yeah.
But for they're little girls. They're like, no, I want to do exactly like 7 Supergirls. Like, no.
It's already been done, honey.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but you know what? I think you're doing a good thing by sitting with them and guiding them. Because you already informed them that it's already been done. So
but for kids, they're
follow
like,
your intuition. No, because they're following what they already see. They want to mimic what they already see, but it's already been done. And I think this is where parents need to sit down with their kids and inform them about stepping outside the box. Like, don't be afraid to be you. Don't be afraid to put your ideas out there. People will like it. Not all, but people will like it.
Somebody will. Nobody talks about.
And you follow that.
Someone who agrees with everything that you say.
It's scary.
But it's so strange, right? Because I'm listening to you guys, and I still think it was different in the past. And I think, at least my experience, right? I grew up in the 70s. Well, I was born in the 70s, and then, when I started kindergarten and things like that, there was this very much bohemian-esque way of looking at education, right? So we had a lot of creative writing and critical thinking and da-da-da. And so we were brought up to think outside the box. It was all about pushing each other and pushing ourselves, and our assignments and things were all about trying to do something different. When we got to the playground, that was then everybody wanted to be the same. But when it came to like creativity and things like that, but it was really, really, really accented on, right? It was really highlighted. Now I find after that, then it went through a generation where it was like everybody's a winner.
Oh yeah.
everybody's perfect.
Yeah.
Right? Which I think
Everybody
that
gets a
kills
ribbon.
creativity. Right? Because you're like, I don't have to put in any effort in and I'm still going to get a prize. So, right? And then after that, we went into, the Asian countries are getting ahead of us because of the education, and let's get back to arithmetics and technology and the P's and Q's. And so again, then we're going back to, the basics. And it's so competitive and there's so much pressure. And I'll tell you, I've had a client that wanted to start a innovation program, right?
Nice.
For employees and things like that. It's a great concept.
I like that idea.
Right? Apple actually has done it as well. And Google. It came from Google or 3M that started it. And it's all about dedicating time for employees to be innovative and come up with ideas and things like that. And it's funny because I was like, that's awesome. Like you said, I had the same reaction. It's awesome as a concept. But is the environment quantitative to helping people be creative? Because, if it's high stress and there's too much pressure, creativity goes down.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
So if the kids are in like 15 different activities and they've got 3 hours of homework every night and they've got this and this and this, really? You want them to be creative?
Yeah.
They're like, this is already packaged. Could we just take it off the shelf, please? I'm tired.
You know what? It's so true because, I realized that with my son doing his project where, the teachers are rushing the kids. Okay, put all this detail down on paper, but at the same time, you need to research. You want time to think about your creativity to set you apart from the mainstream. And they're not giving the kids enough time. And I saw my son just turn to, hey, let's go research. And I'm like, no, but that's somebody else's words. What do you have to say? You find your audience, and you're right. They're not doing it as much with the kids, and that's one thing I do see. They're trying to pull the detail from kids, but give them that time to be creative and to shock you, and learn to just mold that and shape that. To help them get to the next step, but they don't do it as much. I find kids are not creative. They're quick to turn to what else, something that's already been done and that's there, like you said, off the shelf. And it's like, it's already been done. We know that's there. We probably read it in our younger days. So,
but where's the space? And it's funny, we're talking about this, and for years and years and years, I felt so bad because I used to, we'd have projects and things like that, and the kids would be like, the other students would be like preparing from day one, and it's due like in 3 months, and I'd be like, and I'd want to do it too, right? Because they had all these lists and notes and stuff, and I'm like, why am I not doing that? And I used to really beat myself up, and then like the night before the thing is due, all of a sudden it was like
It all
ding!
comes, yeah,
and it was like and I realized that I had a mental database. Right? And the way my brain works, don't ask me to put anything on paper. It's stupid. Okay? Because it's in the database.
You would not work well with Clove.
Sometimes I have to actually tell bosses that. And sometimes it's worth me not working with them because a lot of it happens inside. And then all of a sudden that last piece will come together, and then I will spit something out super fast, and it'll all be it's the strangest thing.
You know what? Maybe that's
Yes.
why we're friends, because I was the same way.
Yeah, and then
I couldn't do it. I'll get the paper, the instructions on the paper, what you have to do, the subject, all of that. I always put it aside. And I thought about it, but at the same time, it was like you were being creative. You were researching. You gave yourself time to analyze. And it's true. It was like 2 days before the paper had to go in, all of a sudden I'm at the computer, sweat is like coming from my forehead. You're like,
drives.
And you're doing all that. Yeah. But that was the best paper I've ever handed in. And the teacher walks down the aisle going, excellent. And I'm like, wow, really? Because that was last minute.
And we feel guilty, right? We feel like we're doing something wrong. And then one day I was talking to another consultant, right? As myself, and she was talking about an experience she had in Europe where she was sitting and her boss, she was sitting in a chair and she was staring at the ceiling, right? And her boss came in and said, "What the?" He's like, "We have this huge project," and it was like a super corporate environment, right? And she's like, the boss is like, "We have this huge project, and you're sitting in at your desk staring at the sky, right?" And she turned to him and said, "Je réfléchis." I'm thinking about it. And I was like, and when she said that, it was all of a sudden, it was like, oh. I was like, that's it. It's a legitimate thing.
Yeah.
You know, it is. I don't know what it is that we rush everything. Everything has its time and place. And sometimes if we give that space, you allow someone to really shine and show their best. But, you know, not everybody works well under pressure. So we have to say that. Some people shouldn't wait last minute. You should maybe start on day one.
But, but we didn't wait last minute because from the time we had the assignment, we were en réfléchissait.
No, we were, but you and I could handle doing a paper 24 hours before a couple hours staying up all night. But someone else,
They have a heart attack.
they can't even formulate sentences.
But people's brains work differently.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, you know, like each person, you have to know your weaknesses, you have to know your strength, and you have to know time management and the time you need to kind of gauge yourself. So you have enough time to think,
yes,
and enough time to be creative and produce the quality of work you want. But not everybody could do it last minute. I'm just saying.
No,
I don't want a parent that writes us telling us you told my child they overheard you not to work when they first got that paper about their project and to wait 24 hours before handing it in. No, correction. I did not tell your child that. Your child only heard what they wanted to hear. What I said was exactly no. If you know you can't produce it in 24 hours, give yourself a couple of days. Mm-hmm. You know, do a rough draft.
See, I'm not used to that because, like, my middle daughter, she's like, you give her an assignment, she's on it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's crazy to me. Like, she had like a robot project where they had to take recyclables and do make a robot out of recyclable items. Mm-hmm. And the same day she gives you the letter and stuff like that, the very next day she has her robot done. She did it a month ahead. And I'm like, you don't want to add more stuff to it? Like, she's like, oh no, I have everything. I know where my robot comes from. I know the functionality of the robot. Mm-hmm. I know, the name of it, the planet I have the whole history. I was like, really? Like, for me, it was like, are you sure you don't add more? She's like, she was so like, no, I know.
Her database in that worked really quick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was amazed. Like, she got it done a month ahead. And the whole time I'm like, are you sure you don't like add? She's like, nope.
That's how we are at the end. They're like, are you sure you did a good job? Yeah, because I've been thinking about it for a month.
Yeah.
I figured, I let it marinate and simmer.
That's exactly what happened.
And that's when the meat is the best.
Yeah, once the seasoning's just
right. That's where I'm at. But like I said, not everybody can do it because I realized I have that trait. But my son, he had a project. He wanted to build an engine, 4-stroke engine. And I'll never forget, he was working on it for months. Mm. And I used to go behind him just watching, but in my mind, I didn't want to stress him because I know he was in his creative process.
Behind him.
There you go. So I stood behind him and I'm like, come on, buddy, come on.
Push.
Come on, you can do it. But I realized, and I had to learn myself to back up and allow him his creative process and his time management to know how much time he needs. Well, listen, he did it before the deadline. It was amazing, and it was the best project he did that the teacher was overwhelmed. He built the engine that worked, and it was see-through glass with lights to show what happens in an engine when a car is driving.
Sweet.
Yeah, and he had a whole cardboard.
I remember.
Yeah, and I remember that, but I had to learn to not intervene because as mothers and how we are, especially past generation, right? We like to sit down, we ponder. But once we get it, that light bulb is on.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes 24 hours, sometimes it takes 2 weeks.
Exactly.
It just takes the time it takes until the magic comes together.
Exactly, but I almost caught myself running into his project. I was like, maybe you just plug this in right here. Ooh. And then I realized, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. This is for him. This is his process. I had mine. I got to let him find his way. I did, and he had an amazing project. So I had to restrain myself. Moral of the story, parents, get a chair and go find something else to do.
You got to find your flow.
Go read a book.
People have their flow. The same way that people learn differently, people produce differently.
Totally.
And I mean, this is real life, and we can't just ponder forever. You know what I mean? We still have deadlines, parameters. But if you want to be creative, you got to have the time and the space to be able to think about these things.
Mm-hmm.
No, but it's true. You know, you have to let everything takes its time. Think about your favorite dish your mama made. You would see her in the kitchen for hours. Didn't know, you were like, why the hell is meat taking so long just to get to the table? But when you sat at that table and ate it, it was made with love. Mm-hmm. And you understood that everything has its time, and you have to let people have their time. When I'm in the kitchen cooking, I don't like to be bothered. I have my wine glass, I put on nice music, and I'm jamming, making my food with love for my family. Mm-hmm. Don't intercept that time. Don't come in with your own point of view telling me I feel the meat should be done already. Let me have my moment, because that's when I'll produce my best.
Yeah.
And every time, the family would never talk at the table, and that's how I knew, hands down, it was the best.
Yeah, you're like, don't stress me out. So
yeah, like when they come running into the kitchen, you know, like I'm there cooking, I'm in my zone. I got my wine glass, my favorite music. Exactly, and then they come in, and it's like, what? You know, like you just, you just mess with the whole creativity flow.
I know.
Beyond
let me tell you something. You know what it is?
What missionary position?
No, let me tell you what it is, okay? All those women who ran and got the book, okay, are the ones who the men are not pleasing in the bedroom. And then this aroused something.
Yeah.
So, and no, a lot of people don't realize that. You know, there was a time, even for Pat Night, it was like that. It was like, you know, I went to bed with sweatsuits. It was like, man, move for me. It's pretty comfortable. Yeah. So this book, I think, kind of woke some women up. Where they're like, oh,
we could be creative.
Yeah. You know, I could chain him. You know, like, you know. So I think
back into the Women's Coalition.
Yes.
Listen.
Thank you. Since all my views seem to be going against the crowd.
No. It's not, but you know what it is? Because think about it, sex shops have been around for how long?
I know.
Yeah. You remember walking past a sex shop, it was almost taboo?
Yeah.
You don't even look at it, you were like this, look.
It still kind of is.
I walked in.
I mean, I walk in,
I've walked in.
I want to know and I want to see.
I've walked in with clothes, it still feels kind of weird.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You know what? I've never been in with Pat, but I've gone in as a girls' night, like a group of girls who for the fun of it, because it's one person's birthday. Yeah. So we decided one time to go buy the gift from there. So you're going downtown. Now, whatever gift we bought, she has to ride the metro holding it. So we got a candy lollipop there.
Yeah.
I'm talking about. We're not going to say her. And she had to sit there and hold it like this.
And it was anatomically correct.
Wait. On the metro, and then we have to instruct her little things. Like there's no obviously sitting on it because you have to do that to stay clean. Yeah. So we'll say, we'll do like, it means lick. So she has to go. And if you watch the expression of the males on the train all the way downtown, it was priceless. Then she started getting into it because she started liking their reaction because they couldn't do anything, right? And they're not going to come into the group of girls. It's like taboo. Right. So they just sit there.
No, it's dangerous. It's taboo.
It's like this. And she's like,
the guys are like, what the what?
No, man, they were what? It's not even what the what. They were watching. They were like, I want. I can't have. But you have to, you know what? I don't think it's taboo. I think the 50 Shades of Grey, to be very honest, all it is it woke up a side of women that may have been asleep. And they were too afraid to walk into the sex shops. The sex shops had everything that the 50 Shades of Grey got inside the book or any other book. You know, it's the same thing in there. So.
I just love this part of the show. There's something about that question this was really an original. Typical Sanka. Love her with those questions that makes you go, So, you know, have you ever taken the time to notice about your breath? You know, noticing that we're alive, that we're here, and taking a moment to appreciate our life. It's a great, great question. More on this.
It ruins everything, then the food
tastes
good. So then let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. When was the last time you noticed the sound of your own breath?
The sound of my own breath?
Yeah, the sound of your own breathing, I should say.
When I was snoring and woke myself up.
Being on the microphone.
Really?
On a daily.
Like if you think about it, because you have to be in the moment to be able to notice it. Mm-hmm. I can't remember the last time I heard. I was quiet enough in my mind and in my place to be in the moment enough to be able to consider the fact that I actually breathe. on a regular basis?
I do when I'm snoring. I kind of shock myself and wake myself up where I'm like, who is that? Looking at my husband all wrong, like somebody else in the room.
I'm going to check. Hold on a second. I'm going to pause. Can I pause it like that?
I don't think it's... Is it recording?
We're recording now.
Okay. You know what?
So should I repeat the question?
Yes, repeat the question.
Okay. Have you ever been with somebody or spent time with somebody, right? So you went through the regular dialogue, and as you walked away with the feeling that you should have done or said something that you didn't.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I know there's people out there that, didn't say I love you and then lost that person. I mean, it can get as extreme as that, or it could be you knew someone, was maybe upset about something, and it just happened to me recently, and someone that I don't know very well, right? I'm just starting to get to know this person, and something sad happened in his life, right? And I was like, and so, you say what you feel, and you have the conversation, and then as I walked away, something inside me felt like I should have turned around and hugged him. Oh. Like I felt like I needed to hug. Like I felt that instinct or that feeling. Like, and I continued walking to my car, and I drove home and everything like that. And up until now, I'm like, I feel like I should have.
It's interesting you brought up that question because I felt like that most of my life.
Oh my gosh, it's horrible.
Yeah, like not going by my instinct because I'm overly logical about it, or I'm overly protecting myself, And I think it has to do a lot with the way I grew up because I love my mother, and people change and things, but I feel like growing up with her was tough because she was, not very emotional person, and she has narcissistic tendencies. I'm realizing that more as I grew older. So it was all about herself. And there was always a sense of unpredictability when it comes to feelings and emotions. So I've always felt like I'm always like walking on eggshells, and I have to be strategic on how I communicate. And it was a big headache.
A lot of thinking.
Yeah, that takes a lot
to say something.
Yeah, because it was just never good enough. It's never like I can never satisfy this woman, So because of that, growing up like that, it created for me to always have a huge wall with everybody and everything, even with myself. And so I would never do things that I felt because with growing up with her, things that I felt was always shut down. So little by little, it chipped away from me to just, okay, more walls, more walls, more walls. So I've grown up most of my life just not telling people what I really think. Wow. Or not really, holding my emotions and just be a rock.
Girl, I feel you because I'm feeling this right now and it's horrible and I don't like it.
I know.
I'm like, and it's not because, it's not because it wasn't a sexual thing or anything like that. It's just, this person was hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Upset.
Yeah.
And I felt like I needed to give you good vibes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give you strength.
Yeah.
Right? And hugging does that, right?
Oh, yeah. No.
And so I feel awful. I feel like I did something wrong.
Where
I always felt like that.
But the person might not. But you know what? The person at the same time, because there was a lot of dialogue that went through my head as I was walking away, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe the person's not living in the same kind of space I am, that will not take it for what it is and think it's something more, when it's really just, I'm a human and you look, not that you are weak or anything like that. You're like super cool. You just look like you need a hug.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's tough. Like, it sucks. And when you said that, it brought me to that feeling like, oh man, that's like my life. Just always, always suppressing what I really wanted to say, or express. Because of a person that I grew up with who had her own dysfunction.
So what do you do now?
I mean, look, that story I tell you, I can't really say because he listens to Kakle. But
a situation where it was uncomfortable and awkward, but you felt compelled.
Yeah, now I'm finding, I'd say the past 10 years or so, that I really, like, going to therapy has been really helpful on that. To just, I can't help it. I have to say something. You know what I mean? Like, even when Jonathan was on the show and he said, like, you and I had a thing, it's like, there's things I'm finding I do now that I was like, holy shit, who's this person? I would not do this in my 20s. Never. You know what I mean? Like, I would just be like, okay, I'm going to take it in. That was real uncomfortable and keep it to myself, you know?
You know what it is? It's as we grow, we have to stay true to who we are.
Yeah.
You know, like, I get what you're saying, because in a sense, I always take that step when I see someone who needs it and say, okay, you know what? I'll spend the time on the phone. I will come out there. I will give you that hug. I find where I have that hardest time is because my parents raised me better. And there are times there are people that deserve some honest words. And I really hold back because all I hear is my mother's words on my shoulder going, you know, I raised you better than that. You know, but I do my best to look at people on the individual level and to see them. You know, I've been on a metro one time. I remember riding the Montreal subway, and there was a young lady crying in the train, and people are just sitting there watching her. Why are you watching her cry? It's like watching a sad movie. You know, like, what are you going to do? Ride this movie out to your stop? You know?
Because they're probably battling in their head the same thing. Should I say something? Should I not say something?
But you know what? What does it take of you to just get up and put your arm around somebody else and let them know, you know what? You're not alone. I do care. What's wrong?
Yeah.
You know, you may not be able to resolve their issue, but you let them know that going through your issue, you're not alone.
Because you might get a beat down.
I never got the beat down.
A slap.
And you're
no. Okay, now,
disclaimer.
There's some people, yes, there's a disclaimer. Some people you don't want to approach, but there's some people you could really see that they just need that hug, and I tend to do it. Maybe I'm a person that just soft at heart. So someone, when I see a time of need,
is all soft.
No, I have my ways.
When you're not being gangster.
You know, I have my ways. But I mean,
softness.
yeah, because the other day I remember there was, I'm not going to name the person, but there was a family member going through something, and it was really touching to them. But I just took the moment to sit down with them and hear what they're saying. There's a difference from watching them and hearing what they're saying and being able to put yourself in their shoes. And instantaneously, I just got up and hugged them so tight and just said, you're not alone. You know, I can't imagine what it's like to be in that position, but you're not alone. See, and I'm here. So like, don't feel that in this whole world, nobody cares. You're by yourself. I do care. You feel this hug? And the person broke down even more on my shoulder, you know, but we tried to, I said, listen, let me see what I can do, you know, at the same time to help you along the way, whether it's refer you the right direction, you know, if I know someone, something, whatever it is, whatever that problem is, but being there to genuinely care. If we take away everything, if, you know, it's funny because if we were blind, I think society would care a lot more about each other. But because we can see, we're a little bit arrogant.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? We're a little bit arrogant because we can see. Because we can see. But if you were to take away that vision, right, we would be more loving. We would be more caring. We would, you know, because you're going off of the ear and you can relate. You hear it, you feel it. That's how we are. It's like your pets. If you come home sick, your pets pick up on that.
They feel the
vibration. They know. They can't speak to you. But I mean, they may meow and bark and let you know that bowl is empty. But they're going to let you know.
And then I'll let you pet me, okay?
Exactly. You know, exactly. Pour the food, pet. Get it? You know, but at the same time, I think we have to stop and take some steps back because I think humanity, we're a little too arrogant. We're too entitlement. We know. Yeah. But you really don't know. Because if you knew, you would never have made certain decisions. You wouldn't have passed up that person because you would have took the time to say, you know what? No, I care. I'm a human being. I care.
That's why I love kids, because just to be around them, just that sense of like, they just do things with
honesty,
just natural to them, you know. It's
They're
like,
too honest, though. You know, I love my pets. I love my pets.
Sometimes it'll be like,
the more I know.
Okay, you know.
No. Exactly.
They just need polishing. We still want it to stay like that. We're the ones that mute them. We're the ones that teach them how to be quiet.
It's true.
We're the ones that teach them. I mean, you just Exhibit A. You just talked about how you were taught to be quiet. I was not quiet when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I talked to everybody. I said what I thought. I said what I felt. But I was still loving too, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of spunk. And then there was a moment in my life where it was beat out of me, so to speak, right? But that didn't last very long because it was so against my personality that it was like, okay, I tried it.
Yeah.
Didn't want the t-shirt.
Yeah.
And we're going to go back because like I said before, I have difficulty settling.
Yeah, no, it came in a rebellious, like as soon as I hit 13, 14, I rebelled like crazy. My parents were like, they didn't know what to do with me. I was outside. I wouldn't come
You know what it
home.
is? You know what it is?
I went bananas.
I'm going to tell you what it is, Shirley, because I'm going through it. And there are many parents out there like me who are going through it. Let me tell you what it is. Adolescents and preteens is like an illness.
It really is.
It's like your kids get sick for a decade and they lose their mind. Or they become like pregnant women with the hormones are just out of whack.
Yeah.
And then as a poor parent, you got to figure out which mood it is today.
Yeah.
You know,
Today, this minute.
That too. I mean, like I lose my mind. I have a teen in my house. He's more emotional, dramatic than I am.
Oh.
Why? I'm the
I
woman.
have to keep telling myself, it's not my son. I'm talking to the hormones. I'm talking to
That's
the
what
hormones.
Parents have to say.
You have to
step
say,
back.
yeah.
Step
It's
back
not
and just
him.
say, you know what? It's not him.
It's the hormones.
It's the hormones.
Yeah.
Because that little kid I do love, I may have to fight really hard right now to convince myself. But
He'll come back in like, what? 4 more years?
25.
No.
Age 25.
7 more years. Yeah.
Listen, age 25.
Is it 25?
Yeah, they come back, and you know what the problem is? Now they're like,
years.
they come back with the shoulders down, the head down, tail between their legs, saying, "Mommy, okay, you were right." Yeah. You know, and then you sit there with this empowerment.
Yeah.
You know, that's why, like, now I realize why my mother is so empowered. Because I call her so much, and I'm like, "Okay, Mommy, okay, you were right." And then she just like, You know, she does that. And I rely on that because I realize how much of an illness kids go through between the ages of the preteens and the adolescents. It's an illness, especially when they're 20. They're still not over it.
No, they're still.
It's like an earthquake. That's the aftershock.
Yeah.
Okay, so only of 24, 25. Parents, keep praying. Go to church. Go to church or find another group of other parents who are going through it.
There should be like.
Let me know when that meeting's happening.
Right. There's things for alcoholics. And there needs to be support for parents.
Seriously. And you can walk into any work environment and you see a group of women together, whether by the water cooler or that one cubicle, you know, and they're all like.
We should do that for the show.
Seriously.
Like,
Because we have first line of defense.
Yeah. Something.
And then we'll have, the Adolescents Anonymous.
There you go.
Yes.
For family members.
You're right. I've had a woman at when I was working at a newspaper, and I'm like, "How you doing?" And then she's like, "Good." I'm like, "How's the kid? How's the kids?" And she her daughter turned 13, and she's like, "I love my child, but her hormones are a total bitch." She's like, "She's a total bitch. I love her, but she's a total bitch." I'm like, "But she's your child."
Now you understand.
I was like, "But lady," she's like, "No,"
because you know what it is to adolescents.
Well, though.
Huh?
She said it well, though.
It is.
I still love the child.
Because whether you have a boy or a girl, to them everything is the end of the world. Everything.
Yeah.
So that one friend who didn't sit with them at lunch, who walked past them in the hallway, oh my God.
And try to have them explain it to you.
Oh, gee, Lord have mercy.
That's like, what?
You sit there.
Yeah, right?
No, but you think about it.
But you don't understand. Didn't I just repeat what I just said, Mom?
And the tears,
did you not listen?
The sentences. It's the
like,
code talk.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
It's Pig Latin in my day.
Yeah.
And I remember the emotions in those moments. The intense, like, it's no joke. Yeah. I was losing my mind for real.
It's like a boxing match when you go ding.
Well, yes, because
right?
you actually felt like the world was going to end. It was the apocalypse. And no one would ever love you again.
It's so true. Until you had to look at your child and you gave them that look as they're telling the story. Every parent has had this expression, the look of, what the hell's wrong with you?
And then 2 days later, you're like, I don't know what I saw in him because...
You know, it was like, because you know why? Because no lie, as parents, we want to be there for our kids. We want to guide them. We want to help them, give them proper references, you know, and advice. Then they come back through the door the next minute, and the same problem they told you about between them and their friend, they're all friends, and you're the one with issues now.
Yes.
Now they put the tennis ball in your court, and now all of a sudden you're doubting yourself, going, what the hell just happened?
Because adolescents, now they have a word for it. Because we didn't have words for it before. They're called frenemies.
Frenemies.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
And you're lucky you have a boy. Really.
That's true. I'm so scared.
Really, because I was a girl. I still am.
Hold on.
And I have 2 brothers.
I'm gonna
Be happy you have.
No, I'm going to say this.
Save some resort someplace. Like, I'm gonna have to find some chalet. Because
My house, I have another room.
Because those 2 girls, when they're gonna be teenagers, I'm scared.
My house, I have the wine.
Right?
Because I love them, right?
Yeah.
And I love them because they're so
force.
dynamic.
Yes.
And they've got such beautiful and unique characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's like muscles on steroids, right? Muscles are beautiful.
I'm so
and trust
not
me, they are
concerned.
so beautiful.
Yeah.
But on steroids, they turn into something totally different.
Exactly.
Where you're like, wait a minute.
I'm not concerned for them dating because I'm more concerned for the guy. I feel with those 2 girls that the guys are gonna call me and be like, what should I do?
She said she wanted flowers.
Right.
I bought her flowers.
Yeah.
She threw them in my face. She
No,
told me
but
I
you know what?
nothing.
I have to say this.
I'm like, I'm gonna have
It's
to do
just
these
not with
voice
girls.
therapy.
It's just not with girls.
I know, but the
Boys
intensity
are the
is different.
same. Wait, no,
It's
no,
not the same.
No, you're right. The little young girls, adolescent girls, are going to slam the door. You know what the advice I give to you parents? Go get that screwdriver. Take that door off the hinges. There's nothing more to slam.
Tried.
Did she?
She tried.
You stopped me dead in my tracks. I was like,
Speaking
damn.
of the teenage stories, my mother, I was going out with this guy. Well, I was going out with him, and he was going out with half the city. And
That sucks.
he lived in the bad side of town. And I lived in the suburbs. Get where I'm going? So, so obviously, my mother was like, he's what? He lives where? He does what? So my mother forbid me to go see him.
Oh no.
Seriously. So
Parents don't do that.
I made my little night bag, my overnight bag.
Overnight bag. Okay, parents, please do that. Please stop them.
I made my little overnight bag, and my mother bolted the door. Bolted. Like there was a bolt lock on the door, and you could only open it with the key. So she's like, in her genius, she's like, I'm just going to hide the key. I'm going to lock the door. I'm going to hide the key. We live in a building. We're like on the top floor. Where's she going?
Oh my goodness.
I told you I don't settle.
Please tell me you didn't climb.
You were a
out
determined
I
child,
totally
weren't
live
you?
in a minute.
Please tell me you didn't climb out of a balcony.
I went to the little room where we had the toolbox,
Oh, Lord have mercy.
and I took the bolt apart.
Oh my goodness.
Screw by screw by screw. I didn't say anything because my mother thought I locked the door. She's stuck in the house. I'm gonna go watch TV now. Check done off the list. So while she was watching, I never said a word. I took out the screwdriver. I start unscrewing all the bolts on the lock. I left it very neatly with all the pieces in the proper place so she could.
Oh,
put them
thank
back
you
on the
for
lock
being
on
so
the top.
organized and neat. Yes.
That's it for us for the Cackle. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
And went about my
Follow
business.
us on Twitter.
Oh
That's
my
at
goodness.
the
So my mother
Cackle.
comes
That's
out of the room, right?
Kakle.
mother
To let us
comes
know
out
what
of
you
the
think
room
of the
and she's
show.
like, "I'm
We will
psycho."
talk to you next week with some more convo, more hanging out. Hey, consider
Lord
this your
have
weekly
mercy.
ladies'
Lord
night
have mercy.
right here on
Sanka, I don't know what to
CKVL.
tell you,
Thank you
but,
so much for listening. Bye
My
bye.
son knows he can't pull. My son knows he can't pull that stunt because I'm driver happy. I like to get in my car and follow people. I like them to see that white light.
Yeah.
And see that deer to headlights look. So my son knows I'll drive down the street and catch him at the bus stop. So he knows he's not going to get that far.
You become private investigator?
For the whole neighborhood. I will, if you inbox me, I will let you know my hourly rate. A lot of parents actually count on me.
I'm still surprised that there's...
I know, that's so wrong, but the parents who have adolescents understand, and I'm sure right now they're like, where can I find her number?
She's talking about detective work and solicitors.
Yes, please.
I bet you if there was a service like that for parents, like parents who are private investigators for parents, it would work.
People who just had teenagers that survived.
Yeah.
You know what? I do it just around my neighborhood. I know why the kids know my car. They know I know their parents.
Yes.
Yeah, and not only that, but I always take a surprise street to pop out from, and I always do it to watch them, to catch them go, uh-huh. Does your parents know you here? Do they know you're on this particular street? I've had parents that when they had when they had school dances, there's so many parents that would say, hey, can my kid take a ride with your kid? And go, no problem, because they knew. That's the only time their child would exit the school dance on time and stand outside sitting on the steps all together. Everybody going in one car was sitting together because I had my dance moves ready. If I had to go inside that school. So my son... he was the first to experience this, and no lie. My son turned around to his friends that were taking a ride with us, and they're like, come on, guys, we got to be outside. You got to move faster. I don't care. Put your jacket on outside. She has dance moves. When I pulled up 15 minutes early, my child was outside with everybody that was supposed to be in my car, sitting down like the most innocent children. It was really pleasant. I was in a happy place. If the parents could only see this, I should have taken a picture. Trust me.
Well, that's it for us for the Cackle. Until next week, we'll talk a little bit further about whatever. That's it for us for the Cackle. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Follow us on Twitter. That's at The Cackle. That's KAKLE. To let us know what you think of the show. We will talk to you next week with some more convo, more hanging out. Hey, consider this your weekly ladies' night right here on CKVL. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.